Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to another LEGO Train MOC Showcase video. This is the Flying Scotsman. Finally, this is a train that I should have built a long time ago. But, better late than never, I suppose. Here it is now. I now have the trinity of British steam locomotives. Tornado, the most modern steam locomotive in the world. Mallard, the fastest steam locomotive in the world. Flying Scotsman, the most famous steam locomotive in the world. Now this is quite a big build. As you can see, we have the main board and we have two tenders. So I'm going to have to individually review each unit. We're going to start off with the boiler and we're going to go into the tenders, obviously, as we go down. You are in for a treat. So the front unit itself is very good looking. I am very pleased with this end result and arguably one of the better looking trains I've made. Knowing how famous this locomotive is, and when it came to building this, I had to do this right. And thankfully I spent enough time getting all the right details, all the right shaped bricks, just getting it all together and doing it properly. I am so pleased with this end result, and this is absolutely up there as one of the best trains I've ever built. Hands down, no argument, it is gorgeous. So we're going to quickly bash through this front section because these are all black bricks and it's a bit difficult to see. If I actually put the camera here, you can see like where the face of the smoke box is and this kind of sloping section here. That looks really long, but that is surprisingly more accurate than you think. I kept going back to pictures of the train and I thought, hey, it doesn't look right and it shouldn't be like that, but it is. And again, with the scale that I've gone for and how I was able to achieve that, it works, it just works. It's not broken, so don't try and fix it, otherwise I'll just ruin it. But yes, I'm glad I was able to get that sorted, and this is one of those sections. I haven't really done this a lot with trains, but there have been times where I've built a section, I was like, right, that's it, just don't touch it, move on. So yeah, that was one of those sections. We got the smoke deflectors as well. If I put the camera here, you can see better on this side against the background here. We have a sloped tile going along there, which is a 2x2 sloped tile, one of the smaller ones you can get. And I thought, well, in this shape, it looks pretty good. And the smoke deflectors in particular went back and forth in terms of design. It was a bit longer, it was a bit shorter. The tiles, the sloped tiles here were different shaped. Eventually it became very fragile, but they're all nice and sturdy put onto the train itself. These details along here, oh, I knew something was derailed, there we go. Right, so these details along here are the ones that connect the deflectors to the cylinders. These are their own pieces, they're connected to, if I actually take it off, hang on, there we go. So that's what this is. It's a 1x2 connected to one of those sort of hand bricks with a cheese slope just to fill a bit of space. Now I'm going to have to explain why I've gone with this and the livery as well. So this is the dark green and black version of the Flying Scotsman. Why did I go with this colour? Well, it's mainly because I have purchased 3 Emerald Knight sets. The most recent one was at an auction and it had everything there, and I built it up just, like you would. The Emerald Knight locomotive was built up properly and has been sat in the drawers behind me for quite a long time. I've done the review video, of course, so you can have a look at that. It's on my channel, and the action video looks really good of that train on the go. But the train itself was just sat there and, not doing anything. So I thought, well, I've already built it, and I know I've made a custom version, so in its own way, I still have it. So I may as well take those bricks and use it for this. And I think it's basically the same thing in its own way. Obviously, the Emerald Knight is kind of based on these types of locomotives, but obviously with some personal changes and some tips. Well, yeah, what word would I use? Keeping some of the details from that model, basically. I've been able to translate it into this, and I think it looks really good. The use of all these stripes, of course, really makes it stand out. The dark green, just as a whole, looks really good against the black as well. And I think this is the most modern, or at least up-to-date version of Flying Scotsman's livery. So, in its own way, it's relevant, looks pretty good. Another thing as well that I'm very happy with, just looking at this, looks really cool. These splashers here, the arches above the wheels. That is because these wheels are the standard size drivers with a 1 stud gap between them. That therefore puts a 1 stud gap between the splashers, and that makes them stand out. It's not a constant, flowing arch. It's got that space between there and there. So yeah, that looks really good, and again, that's one of the first things my eyes are drawn to when I look at this locomotive. Looks really good. Standard style, or the new standard I should say, new standard style cylinder and driving rod details there, looking very good. It's very smooth as well. And these red lines along here, these are rubber bands on the drive wheels, and these have been a thing ever since Emerald Knight came out, and that basically helps with grip and traction. Very cool indeed. Going to the cab, oh don't worry, we'll get to that tradition of taking it off in just a moment. There was very few differences in terms of what this looked like before the Bricklink order. Only thing I was waiting on were the green windows, green splashers, and a few of these bricks to go for the tenders. So yeah, that was the only thing I was waiting for. The green windows definitely do look good. I'm very pleased with those. Only one store that I was able to find that had all the bricks I needed and the windows, so it was a bit frustrating, but they're all here. These trailing wheels as well are like so if I go back over here, you can probably see them. No, it's too dark, god damn it. So yeah, you can see it here. These are like proper style train wheels instead of the ones that you would put on rolling stock. That is because those were there for the Emerald Knights. I just never changed them, basically. And since we've got the thing upside down, this is something I've never done before, solely because of how the tenders are built. So the dual swivel point is here, not here. Again, because of how the tenders are built and how this would go around corners, I need to build it like this so it doesn't derail. Every other test that I've done has pushed the whole model, basically. Like, this would go around fine, but then this would push up and that would lift up the whole train afterwards. Then the tenders would derail because it's pushing into nothing, and it got so frustrating, and I very nearly gave up on building this because of that problem. Thankfully, I was able to find a solution and just went forwards. I've got to take it back off with the cab, god damn it. There's nothing in the cab! Oh my god, I need to fix that. That actually does make sense though, because I was building it up in a kind of work in progress sort of stage. So yeah, I'm going to have to nick the interior details from another locomotive. Ah, that's fine. Still, this looks gorgeous. Absolutely love it. This is the first tender, and this is surprisingly accurate in terms of scale, because this is a lot longer than my other tenders. So it is, standard size. Obviously we got the 8 wheels going along there, 4 on each side of course. But there is something very special about this tender. As you can see up here, you can see exposed button, some grey thing here, and some shiny thing along here. It is powered! Oh yeah. So if I press the button, grab the remote, and this little tiny detail, which I need to show off in just a moment. Right, here we go. So I've got the controller. Sorry, and the camera's not focusing, I just realised that. Let's try that again. But yes, there we go. Very good indeed. So, that is not properly exposed. I have this little thing built up here, which is, I need to swap hands for the focus again. There we go. So it's a 2x2 tile. No, god damn it. 2x2 tile with some 1x1 circle pieces to access the coal on top. And underneath is another 1x1 just in a random colour, and that is sitting on top of the button. So if I sit that in there, to in a place where there's light, god damn it, so here we go. That's the space. Just got to slide that in. No, that's not sliding in. This is actually quite finicky. It's a lot easier to take out, but difficult to put in, because it needs to fit that space properly. So there we go. So that should now be on again, because I turned it off a moment ago. But pressing that down. Come on, come back. There we go. So now, press that again. And it's off. Excellent. So yeah, the tender is similar to the tender that I built for the P2 and Tornado. But I didn't grab it and kind of use it as the template. I kind of had to build this one up differently. So whilst it is definitely longer and a bit more chunkier, it does still share some similarities, which I think is quite nice, because I could then use the other tenders as reference. Nice big coal bed, just a little bit of details going on in here where the infrared receiver is. And of course the special detail which name escapes me, which allows you to travel through the cab, through here, like a special corridor in here, and into the coaches behind, which is very cool. Absolutely spectacular. So yeah, it's actually quite simple, that. I mean, you know, it's a tender, does what it's supposed to do, it's powered. Very nice. Let's have a look at the other tender then. This is the auxiliary water tender, and it is also powered. Oh yeah. Both battery boxes were given fresh batteries for this build, and it works very well. So because this is a water tender, there's no special details along the top. It is nice and smooth. That's basically the only difference between the other tender and this one. And of course the corridor kind of extension pieces along there. Got a few bars by the infrared receiver just to, you know, add a bit of detail, I suppose. And of course for the button cover, it's just a nice big chunky piece, again with a 1x1 tile to actually sit on the button. This one's a lot easier to get in because it's taller and a lot smoother. So that's now off. Let me just make sure. Okay, good, that's off. Pressing it again should turn it back on. Excellent. So yeah, I mean, double tender, pretty cool. One day I want to try and print off some, let me just make sure that's turned off one second. Yeah, okay. Right, where were we? Yes, stickers. So I want to try and print off some custom stickers for this, because the locomotives I've been building recently are trains I intend to keep. This one in particular is one that is going to stay. So I want to try and print off the numbers and the LNER to go along the side here. I nearly used the LRTS stickers that originally come with the Emerald Knight, which I'm currently using on Emerald Champion, to go along here. But I thought, well, the stickers are quite small. I'd rather it said LNER properly instead of LRTS. I'm still thinking on it, but yeah, it's, you know, just my own thoughts. So yeah, second tender. So there we go, that is Flying Scotsman, and let's just quickly, there we go, get a good look at this thing running. We'll get a proper look at this thing running in the action video, of course. But it should be a bit special and somewhat different, because the two powered tenders was a pretty wise choice. Having two tenders was something I was going to do anyways, but having them both powered makes it very strong. So I shouldn't have to rely on powered rolling stock, hopefully. I might need to get a second one in just in case, but the hope is I shouldn't need to. If I only get two coaches for it, fine, whatever, that looks good. But even then, having two powered tenders with a build such as cool as this, you know, I'm very happy with myself. Absolutely love it. I'm going to turn those battery boxes off now so it doesn't waste any power. So yeah, there we go. The Flying Scotsman is on my railway at long last. And I think I've done it some well-deserved justice as well. Such a beautiful build. Right, time for a quick announcement before I go. This, in the line of LEGO trains that I've been building, this is the last train that I've built. And I do not have plans to build any more for the foreseeable future. All of my drive wheels are pretty much used up. The only ones I've got left are the XXL wheels, which I don't want to use because they're awful. All of my good bricks are all used up, like these slope bricks, all the detailed sort of colours and all the parts that kind of link all the other pieces together. They're all being used up on all of my trains, and all of my power functions are being used. Surprisingly, I only had like a small amount. Half of it went for the tenders, the other half went to the powered rolling stock. And yeah, I mean, it's a bit sad to say that, but it makes sense. I have more than one hobby, so there's more to look forward to and get on with. But for now, it's, you know, it's not goodbye. Definitely not goodbye, for goodness sakes. There's going to be more coming out in the future after this. But it's just, you know, I've had my fun, time to take a break. If you have any ideas for any LEGO trains you want me to build in the future, let me know in the comment section below. I've been focusing on British locomotives because I am British. Maybe it's time to go somewhere in Europe, somewhere in America, kind of get some inspiration and build locomotives from another country. So yeah, again, if you have any ideas, let me know. Thank you all ever so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you all in the next episode. Bye.